Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time you've all been waiting for. So grab a hold of your pocket protectors and join us for NerdWorld!
Welcome, everybody, to NerdWorld, episode 59, with this very special guest, Mr. Greg Curda. I got Facebook running in the background. I'm going to turn that off. Colin, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. We have a very special guest that you and I have known for,
I'm psyched.
Year and a half.
Yeah, I'm psyched. So, Greg, welcome aboard. We were poking around your CV, and I discovered that you were involved in the production of one of my favorite movies of all time, The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, wow.
So,
good
it
pick.
goes back a long way, And I was thinking, I was a kid back then. What does that mean about Greg? How did?
Don't let the all-white beard fool you.
It took some digging, but we did find a picture of you without the beard.
Okay.
I'm not sure how old it is, but
I don't know. Do you have it? Can you pull it up? Let's see what it is.
I don't know, John. Can you pull that up off of LinkedIn?
I'll find it. Stand by. Keep talking.
Yeah. But
okay. Okay.
Anyway,
when I had to look like a professional.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's something to be said for looking like a professional. But
we
get away with a lot during COVID. How long have you had your beard, by the way? One bearded guy to another.
I started growing it in 2009. It's gone through a couple of fires and, subsequent trimmings.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Candles, cigarettes, lighters.
Yeah, I've had those. I singed my beard in a barbecue once.
Oh, there you go.
That was not a fun experience.
Nor
was the trimming that was required afterwards.
Oh, there we go.
Let's zoom in here. We can get this up, right?
Oh, I'm a film actor now. Isn't that great?
Yeah, you're apparently all sorts of things.
Yeah,
I guess when you get into IMDb, they have you as everything, no matter what.
Yeah, IMDb used to be like the definitive source, right? They curated every entry. It had to be an actual film credit. It had to be on screen. Yeah. Okay. I don't know when this happened, but they apparently they were getting deluged with stuff and they just couldn't keep up. So they dropped all the curating, and it's kind of like now the honor system. So you can look at some of these IMDb's and someone will say in post-production, the show in post-production, some of it in production, some of it's in pre-production, in development. Started thinking about it. Maybe I'll do this later, kind of.
But
I'm always entertained by the listings by no-name actors who list themselves as uncredited, but appearing in Taxi Driver or whatever other great movie. But yeah, there seems to be it seems to be the Wild West out there.
There's a lot of that, but you know what? I don't really look askance or besmirch anybody that puts uncredited, because there's a number of films that I didn't get credit on, just because the production company didn't give credits to certain numbers of job titles. There was a day when only the head of the department got the credit.
Hey,
that was what I found when I went to look, because I was sure that The Hunt for Red October won an Emmy for sound editing.
It won an Oscar for sound editing.
Yeah.
Colin,
so I went and I checked Google.
Colin, wait 1 second though. Can we go back? I want to know about this gentleman and where he grew up and how he got into the industry. That's what I want to know. You just jumped right into his professional.
I did jump into it because this is my favorite topic.
Of course, it's all about.
But yeah, I guess it takes a while. It takes a while to get there.
Mr. Curda?
I grew up in a small farm town in northern Illinois called Chicago.
Oh, nice. My dad was born in Joliet, and my mom was born in Ottawa.
Okay. What's the most famous thing in Joliet?
The jail.
All right.
And my dad graduated from University of Illinois with his medical degree.
Champaign?
Whatever one's downtown.
Oh, downtown. Oh,
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Excellent.
And then moved to Las Vegas in 1961.
Oh, wow.
But all of my 3 older siblings were all born in Chicago.
Okay.
You made the trek to LA then after growing up in Chicago?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a number of things. Actually, that's where I started. That's where I got my start. A really good friend of my dad's was, one of the biggest film editors in Chicago at the time, and his bread and butter show was Wild Kingdom. And so he was looking for a new apprentice. I was like 17. He asked my father if he thought I might be interested in. We went to dinner one night, and I was, deeply impressed that somebody would take me to dinner at 17. And so I said, yeah, sure, why not? I had, having no idea what was involved.
Where did you tell your girlfriend you were going?
Girlfriend. Yeah. That's
more importantly, what role did you end up with as an apprentice? What were your responsibilities other than bringing coffee?
Well, it started with that apprentice film editor. It started with that. It's watching the things, and I got simple tasks like going to the sound effects house and getting transfers of these effects that were already listed, and I just had to watch them while they did it, and make sure they sounded okay. Then I graduated to assistant. And I started building reels of soundtrack. It was mostly sound, but some picture editing too. The Wild Kingdom was all sound. But we had other clients too. We had a bunch of stuff, a lot of commercials and stuff like that.
How many tigers and snakes did Jim wrestle?
Jim wrestled an unbelievable number of various animals while Marlon watched from the safety
helicopter?
Of the helicopter. Yeah. Mr. We called him Mr. Chest. Jim.
But where were these filmed?
All over. And I don't think people really realize, but Wild Kingdom was the original nature show. It was the original Animal Planet. It was the original,
I watched it every week. I watched that every week, followed by Disney.
Well, there you go. But no, it was fantastic. But Marlon himself, he hated doing those intros and and outros and stuff because it took him forever. He couldn't get through it in one take. He had an aversion to the on camera stuff, so it always took a while. But then he raised me up to editor, and I started getting some clients. I had Mercedes-Benz, I had United Airlines, Piper Airplanes.
Those small
clients. And that's how I paid my way through college, basically.
And you were editing the old school way with the razor?
Well, no, I had we had a couple of Steenbecks, and I love the Steenbeck flatbed film editor, and the Steenbecks were great even for cutting sound. They were good. Some of my other people I knew were using moviolas, and they always used moviolas in Hollywood. And I just hated the moviola because it was like a death trap. But I remember once I had to use a chem, and we did a lot on 16 millimeter. Okay, and the chems, the torque motors on the reels were so stiff that as soon as you'd hit that, you hit the button and the tension would come up, right? As soon as you hit the button on almost every 16 millimeter, you hit the button and it'd snap. Because the torque motors were so polished. Steenbeck wouldn't do that. But the chem, I just hated when I had to use a chem, because it was like, I had to double tape every splice, and it was just a pain.
And these just because I don't know what these are, and I assume many of our viewers don't know what these are. These are all mechanical, all analog film editing devices.
These are all actual.
You're aligning the tape, and you're cutting it with a
right. You're cutting with a fancy razor blade. It's a splicer, and it has a pull down thing that's got a blade on it, and it just slices the film. Now picture you cut straight because you have to cut it on the frame line, right? But sound, you have to cut on an angle. The same way you guys, I'm sure you've seen the quarter-inch editors or the half-inch editors. It's got that angle dent in it where you go with the razor blade, right? Same thing. So the angle splice was divided so that there was no pop at the cut.
So you're saying that Chris's logo is incorrect. It should be straight up and down instead of at an angle.
Well,
he also edits audio, doesn't he? So I mean,
yeah, that would be a sound cut.
So I'm trying to picture this is on a piece of film that also contains the audio track, or are they separated at this point?
No, they're separate.
Oh, okay.
Now the sound is, imagine a piece of 16 or 35 millimeter film that's clear, but imagine that there's a piece of quarter-inch tape laid over it, okay, or embedded on it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it was. And there was some film, like 35 millimeter film, it was completely coated with magnetic particles, and that was called full coat for obvious reasons there.
Yeah.
But there were single track things that were just called single stripe, and there was a large film portion of oxide that went across like that. Then there was a second one a little bit lower on the other side that was smaller, and that was called a balance stripe. And that was designed so that the film ran at the same height over the head on both sides as it was going across.
So a mechanical balance as opposed to a alignment. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, physical alignment. So
physically balanced. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one side wasn't higher than the other.
Huh.
Okay. It was all tensioned and all this stuff. So it was like giant tape machines, but with sprockets. Okay, and a lot of these machines, they ran at the same. They were sync locked or gen locked to the projectors electrically.
Yeah, I was gonna say Genlock. I mean, every time you think of Genlock, it's all digital at this point. But
yeah,
electrically Genlock. Wow.
What was the exact term for it? Well, anyway,
because I remember I remember in summer camp. This would have been, I don't know, 86, 87. I saw my first VHS editor, which had the 2 decks, and you could do, basic analog wipes and things. I thought that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I saw that in 87. When did you make the switch from analog to digital?
When did I make the switch?
Well, I mean, I guess the first question is what year are we talking about when you were starting to say you were in college? When was this?
70, I started in 72.
Okay. So
this was the late 70s?
Late 70s? Okay. So when was the introduction of the analog VHS style editing solutions, or was that
For me, never.
now you skipped over that to?
Well, no. What happened is that well, there were a bunch of things going on, but cutting to the chase, I decided that I wanted to go to LA to see if I could play with the big boys. It's a kind of a common dream, if you will. I mean, I had a career, it seemed cool. So I wanted to go and see if I could play. And I had this great reel. I had national commercials, national United Airlines spots, all kinds of Mercedes stuff, all kinds of Piper airplane spots, plus all the Wild Kingdom. I couldn't get anybody to even look at my reel. Nobody. I also, I actually went to LA to play in a band. A childhood friend of mine had moved to LA years before and was in this band. He said, "I got a spot for a bass player. Do you want to do it?" And it paid $200 a week, which then was actually good money, for a broke boy. So I went and did that, and then just through a weird chain of events, the guy who was financing the band, it turns out, he was financing the band through escort services and cocaine sales in Orange County.
Well, you got to choose recession-proof industries,
Yeah, but he got popped twice.
Oh, well, that doesn't work.
Because
that's not so good.
No, it wasn't good. So then I was out of that job, and I went to a temp agency. A mixer friend of mine had clued me. Oh, go see this gal. I forget her name, but go see this gal over at the Apple One agency at Apple One in Glendale. So I went over there, and she says, "Okay, well, what can you do?" And I'm like, "Well, blah, 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 typing." I'm like, shorthand, please, blah, 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 blah. Well, what do you do that's fantastic, kind of a thing? I said, "I'm hell on the phone. I am absolutely hell on the phone. Give me that phone." So she got me a job at Warner Brothers, and I was the replacement secretary for Robert Towne. You guys know who Robert Towne is, the writer? Chinatown, 2J.
Doesn't ring a bell, no.
Big. He was a.
Might know he's old.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
now we know. Yeah.
So Robert Towne was on vacation, and oddly enough, the secretary was on vacation too. So I was the replacement secretary in a kind of a bullpen area with a bunch of secretaries, and I sat there for 2 weeks, and absolutely nothing happened. I got one phone call a day, and that was from the other secretary asking me if there's any calls. So the lady from the temp agency called me and said, "How's it going over there? They really love you. They think you're doing a great job." I'm thinking, "Oh, what are you talking about? I'm doing nothing all day long. What, you got anything else?" So she said, "Well, I have a job as a computer tape librarian at Disney." And I said, "I'll take it," figuring, okay, now I can get in. Ha! Nobody wanted to see my reel. I couldn't get in. I finally had to weasel my way after months and months and months of trying to get an interview for a job in the mailroom.
They make you interview for that job?
In the infamous mail room, where all the ne'er-do-well nephews and nieces, worked, right? And I shouldn't disparage it. It was fine.
I'm wondering what the interview questions were for the interview for the mailroom job.
Well, it was kind of like, well, you're kind of old for this job, because I was like, I was 25 already by then. I said, yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Exactly.
Like that. Oh boy.
But anyway, I met a lot of people. I hung around the picture editorial all the time. They couldn't care less. But for some reason, the secretary of the sound department really liked me. And I was good in school. I graduated summa cum laude from high school and from college. And, this impressed her. And so one day she said, "Oh, Gregory," she called me Gregory. There's very few people that I allow that from, but she was one of them. And she said, "Oh, Gregory, I think we're going to have an opening in the sound department. I've put your name forward." And I said, "Oh, Angela, how wonderful. Thank you so much." Sound department, what do I know? Okay. I mean, but it's like Annie Port in a storm at this point. I got so fed up with the mailroom that I became bike man.
Did you have physics in high school though?
Oh yeah.
So you understood a little bit about the physics of audio.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But plus I had all that, I had to go pick music. I had to go pick sound effects. I was at all the dubs, when we were doing all the stuff in Chicago. So I had a fringe understanding of what it was. Anyway, turns out the guy who interviewed me was from Chicago and knew Jim Bourgeois, who's the guy who trained me. What are the chances? I know. Anyway, so he asked me one question, and the one question is, what is bias?
Oh, nice.
And it was a good question, but see, I knew that it had something to do with recording because the record head was alternately referred to as the bias head in tape machines. Okay, so I knew it had something to do with recording, and I knew it probably involved an electrical charge. So I said, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that it's something that has to be applied for recording. And that's that's all it took, and he got me in, and then I got into the union, and the rest is history. So right after that was Hunt for Red October. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, that was a while. So
right after that, the Hunt for Red October, the book was written.
The book was written
in the 70s. It took 20 years before that thing was made into a movie.
Excuse me.
So when did the Foley work start?
The Foley work started. Well, I climbed the ladder, and I started at the bottom, and I carried cans back and forth, and I graduated to, patching, putting various patch cables into a giant patch base so they could line up all the machines, type of a deal. And then I graduated to recordist, where I was actually in charge of some of the recording machines. And then what happened was Stephen Cannell. Do you guys remember him? A big TV producer.
I never understood that. I always knew him as an author, a published author, not a TV producer. But then, of course, he did produce lots of TV, and it wasn't all his own stuff. It wasn't all his own work. So Disney made a deal and signed him on as a client for all their post-production, for all his post-production. And it was A-Team, Hunter, Wise Guy, Stingray, and one other. I can't remember the last one.
Stingray, a show about Corvettes?
A show about Corvettes, yeah. Anyway.
They
were
competing with Knight Rider, as I recall.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my. They needed a full-time, a new full-time Foley mixer, and that was my introduction into it. So they were the first clients, and then I started getting some features, and then I did Good Morning Vietnam. I did Cocktail. I did. There was a series of Bette Midler.
I have Mickey Rourke stories.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
you hanging out in Vegas, John?
No, he married my next door neighbor.
Oh, did he?
Oh,
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
I've always thought he was a very interesting guy. I don't know if he's a nice guy or a jerk or what, but
kind of a dick.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, he seemed
Anyway.
interesting anyway. Let's see.
That's Cocktail with Tom Cruise, right?
Tom Cruise, yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah,
movie. I love that movie.
It was a good movie, and the Foley was excellent, by the way.
It was a fun movie, and this is an excellent segue to the great question, John. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Bud Light today, Colin.
That's really sad. I'm drinking Macallan 18.
You are drinking Macallan 18?
I am.
Drink?
Yes.
Are you bringing me
your drink?
That's my drink. You know better.
It's in the other room. But
what are you celebrating?
No, I went
loss of $100,000.
Yeah, something like that. And then the regaining of $100,000 the next day.
Today. Yeah.
But it's going to be a real roller coaster in the market this month. Anyway,
we have a question from Chris Fenwick.
Oh, we do.
Oh yeah.
He would like to know what was the hardest Foley noise you ever had to make.
The hardest Foley noise I ever had to make. Well, there was one that took us a while to do, and that was in one of the Star Treks, either 5 or 6. I can't remember which one. But there were these giant monoliths of rock coming, giant pillars of rock coming up out of the ground. And the scene went on for a long time, and it took us a long time to do.
So like earthquake kind of noises, is that what you mean?
Well, kind of like that, but it was rock scraping against rock as it, kind of coming up and all that kind of stuff. And then there was another one that we spent like a scene, and it never got played. It was called Everybody's All-American with Dennis Quaid and was it Hope? Who was with Sam Shepard? Who's the girl with the lady with Sam Shepard?
Colin can ask Google.
Okay. No, not from here. I can't.
Oh, you can't.
Anyway, yeah, it was. This guy was a college football player, and he gets hired by
Steve, our producer, will look it up.
Okay, he was a college football player. He got hired by the pros, and his first venture out was with he got hired by Denver. Okay, so he was a Bronco, and his first thing out was just a nasty game. It was cold. It was raining. The ground was really hard. And it was, half a reel, 500 feet, probably, 5 minutes of film of him just getting completely beat to shit, out on the field. And we did every single sound for it. It was glorious. We played the whole thing back, and it was like, it was just magnificent. And the director, Taylor Hackford, didn't play any of it. He played it silent with some music over it.
Did you have to do the door opens on Star Trek?
Had to do all everything. Oh yeah, always all door opens, everything. Always.
Door opens and closes in Star Trek. The perennial.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that they would keep the same thing. Usually, what they did is they would have an effect that they used, over and over. But each new thing you would sweeten. You would sweeten that effect with something just a little different that they lay in, underneath, the stock thing, so that it was changed up just a little way.
So you're using old school analog boards for that back in the day?
Oh yeah. I had a beautiful. It was a Studer board, had the cleanest preamps I have ever heard to this day. I had almost just an unheard of amount of gain.
What is a preamp? Can you explain to our folks what a preamp is?
A preamp is a device which raises the amount of current. No, not current. The amount of voltage typically from a microphone to up to a line level source. It increases the voltage.
So from millivolts into like 1 volt peak to peak, something like that.
Yeah, I think plus 4 dB is what, 1.2 volts, something like that.
Peak to peak, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you guys might know guitar amps. On guitar amps, you have a gain and you have a master. Now the gain, if you keep your master low but you turn the gain all the way up, you're overloading that preamp and you get distortion. That's what it is. That's how you get it. Okay? If you don't have a pedal, but that's how the pedal does it too.
What are some of the famous preamps known in the audio industry?
Oh, there's Manley. There's
Neve.
Oh yeah, Neve, API.
How about SSLs?
SSLs, they're all good. They're all good preamps. But this Studer, there was just something about it. It was just.
How do you spell that? I've never heard that word before.
Studer.
Is that German?
Yeah, they're famous. They're famous for their 2-inch machines, 2-inch tape machines.
Got it.
And I had this beautiful Studer A820, I think it was called, with Dolby SR noise reduction in the drawers, self-aligning. This thing was just gorgeous. So in answer to your question, I was analog up until I left. By the time I left in '94, digital systems were just coming into play in the film industry. Film industry is very, very, very slow to adopt new technology, mostly because of all the money that's riding on this. They can't afford any problems. So, they subscribe to the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And you're shooting what, Panavision cameras?
Yeah.
And the audio recordings were done on what? Just a regular tape machine, right?
Well, mostly Nagras. However, there was let's put it in the maybe the late 80s and the mid to late 80s and into the 90s. Some digital formats became available. DAT, for instance.
Right.
I had DAT recorders. I recorded on DAT. Nagra had a model called Nagra D, which was some kind of digital.
You're in LA this whole time?
Yeah.
Where did you live in LA?
I lived in Mount Washington.
I don't know where Mount Washington is.
And I really loved it. It's north of downtown, south of Glendale.
Oh, is that little teeny community?
It's south of Eagle Rock. Glendale is a little further west. Do you know where Eagle Rock is?
No.
Okay, Eagle Rock.
It's not in the valley, right?
Well, there is no valley at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not over the hill.
Valley, yeah, the valley only starts at Griffith Park, where the mountains start.
Right.
Anyway. So there's Glendale, and just to the east of that is this little finger of LA called, what did I just say? Eagle Rock. Thank you. And then south of Eagle Rock, there's a big hill called Mount Washington, and then and then south of that is downtown.
How far from downtown were you? 10 miles? 15?
Mileage? I don't really know. All I know is it was almost equidistant between Disney and Paramount. So I never like to live very far from work. I always like to live near work.
Right.
So, but anyway, one really great thing happened for me at Disney before I went to Foley. I got fired. This was when the big changeover came with Katzner and Eisenberg and all those guys. And they had a guy, his name was Jeff Rockless, as I recall. Just a corporate hatchet guy. And he came in and started thinning out all the departments. And it was, kind of last hired, first fired type of deal. And so I got laid off. And then the next morning, I got this phone call from the head of the department. Gee, Greg, I'm really, really sorry about that. I had nothing to do with this and blah, blah, blah. I said, Bob, I know. And he says, well, we kind of have a problem. And I said, well, what's that? Knowing full well what the problem was. He said,
you laid off too many people.
It was Colin. Colin was the problem.
It was Colin. Colin's here, and I can't get him out of the office. No. Anyway, I was a recordist then, or like a second engineer, right? And I was actually running two stages, physically running back and forth between two stages at that time. And it turns out they had clients on both stages since 8 o'clock in the morning, and the mixer was there, and there's no recordist, and they didn't have anybody spare to put in the job. So those stages were sitting there on downtime. Downtime was like, you never ever want to have downtime because it's like huge loss income.
Was this for filming motion pictures or TV shows?
Well, yeah, but this is post. This is post.
Post, got it.
Oh,
yeah.
post.
I was recordist on the Foley stage, and I was also recordist on this Circle Vision stage, wow, which was making those Circle Vision shows for the park for Disney World in Florida. I don't know if you've ever saw any of those, but they're really.
I vaguely remember them. How were they made? Particularly, did they just have specialized cameras that were the precursors to your 360 cameras?
Yeah,
what kind of rig did they have going?
70mm cameras, 970mm cameras on a big ring.
Wow,
insane.
Well, I mean, there was a point some years ago, maybe 18 months ago or so, that Google produced a product that was basically a chassis for like 36 GoPro cameras. You align them in a circle, and then they had some editing software. Yeah. So this is like that, but 40 years earlier.
But 70mm, dude, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. Oh wow,
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Greg, did you ever do any A1 work for live concerts?
I didn't. I didn't. The closest I did some TV earlier, that the Stephen Cannell stuff, but then outside of that, I didn't do any more broadcast anything until I moved to Hawaii. We
missed that part. We were going through your whole CV. We didn't see Hawaii in there.
Not only that, you've been all over the world, probably multiple times.
Yeah, well, that was the nicest. I loved that. I was there for 10 years. Oh God.
What island were you on?
Maui.
Oh, on Maui, nice.
Yeah, right in Lahaina.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ex and I had a bunch of tattoo shops.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. She decided to become she was an actress. She was a first call commercial actress out of New York. Never auditioned for anything. Moved to LA and suddenly was auditioning like crazy for stuff, and she couldn't stand it. So she quit acting.
Do you have any children?
No.
No? Wow. We have to take some of your DNA out of your beard and create genetically engineered Greg Curtis in 50 years from now.
There you go. Well, maybe we should hit some of your other questions. I think I'm boring you with this, we
were going through your CV, and we did notice that you had gone all around the world.
Yeah.
We saw that you ended up in Saipan at one point. That's not a place that a lot of people end up. Actually, 2 points, God. I think.
Saipan
not a place you want to be, huh?
Oh no, it's fantastic. I went there with two of my really good friends who were both sound editors, and they're cousins, and God, we had the greatest time. That's where I started teaching, actually.
No.
We built a film department with the local college, and Saipan is like the wild, wild west. It's just fantastic.
It's in the middle of the Pacific, for those people that don't know, right above Guam.
Right above Guam. Yeah.
And it's a U.S. protectorate, right? Yeah.
It's a U.S. Commonwealth.
Right. Commonwealth. Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at your, I think it was LinkedIn. It had Saipan MP. I don't know what MP stands for in that context. I looked it up and looked. I couldn't. Okay. All right.
Okay. You've heard of the Marianas Trench?
Yeah.
Yep.
It runs right along
the Marianas Island chain.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that chain, if you continue that chain up on the seafloor, it connects up to Japan.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Anyway, so on the neighboring island of Tinian is where the B-52s were launched.
Oh, for the bomb.
Yes.
Wow.
And the original
Enola Gay.
Yep.
Wow.
Enola Gay.
Did you know that?
So the class that we had, we spent about a year doing things about the 60th anniversary of the Battle of Saipan and the 60th anniversary of the atomic missions and all that kind of stuff. It was really a great time.
You've had an amazing life, Greg. Amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree. And sometimes I look back and I say, God, I should have I should have stayed in LA. If I stayed in LA, I would have been able to retire. I would have had the motion picture health and welfare for the rest of my life. I would have had a great pension, instead of being, penniless and, and working month to month, but
I've got a shed here in my backyard. You can inhabit that. Yeah. It's all good.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Who's that bearded guy that lives in your shed in your backyard?
Yeah. Oh, don't worry about him. He's harmless.
To which the answer is, what bearded guy in the shed in the backyard? I don't see anyone there.
So I want to, because we're running out of time. We got 15 minutes. Bigfoot Entertainment, is that where you met Mickey McAdore, who's one of the famed OGs on Office Hours?
Yep. Bigfoot was a big studio and an attached school that was built by this very wealthy German. And what he did is he had the first online bookstore in Germany, and he sold it to Amazon.
Oh, really? Wow.
And he received,
seems like the wise choice.
He received a bunch of money and a ton of Amazon stock, and he cashed the stock in at just the right time. And he ended up with a net worth of close to $500 million.
That's great.
So he started this studio. It had 2 nice shooting stages, full post, and a school. And Mickey was one of my students.
Oh
wow.
Yeah, he was one of my students. I think he was almost 17.
Does he ever sleep?
No, but I knew right away, man. He was like so on it, and he has just absolutely, you hear that, the student surpasses the teacher. That was years ago for him.
He's an amazing guy.
Years ago.
He's an amazing guy. He's the one that troubleshot my problem with Dante, my ex.
Yeah, that was amazing. He hopped in, and it wasn't Dante. There was some other thing that he did some troubleshooting for us for.
And he nailed it.
He came in, it took him like 15 minutes to solve something that we've been working on for 2 days.
Colin and I are IT guys, and his understanding of IT is amazing.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. He's so cross-pollinated, and not only is he a gearhead, but he understands all the theory. And it's a lethal combination. I mean, he's, in my eyes, he's probably one of the best sound guys in the Philippines.
Oh yeah, it's got to be. He's amazing, and he's back on Office Hours after working the Olympics now.
Yeah, Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, so he's been on daily, and after you've not participated in After Hours at all, which is available around your time schedule actually. And there's some really cool cats in After Hours.
Is there? Okay,
yeah.
Well, maybe I'll have to drop in.
Yeah, you can pop in at your leisure because I leave it when I go to bed at night because I used to watch TV. And now instead of TV, I just turn on After Hours. So I listen to everybody from Australia and Europe while I'm going to bed. They're all talking, and there's been some amazing conversations in there. And Mickey will pop in. He's like, I'm going to bed now, and then like 15 minutes later, he's on with an hour conversation.
He's back up. Yeah. Okay, what else?
So what brought you to Norway?
I was recruited, actually. There was this university over here, and they were just looking for somebody to come and fill a semester sound class for film and TV. And when I was at Bigfoot, I used to get not a lot of these, but a few of these there every now and then, invitations to come and do seminars or a few weeks or something like that. And something would never work out. The timing wasn't right. The money wasn't right. Blah, blah. With this one, everything kind of fell into place. But it was a LinkedIn connection through a connection of a connection of a connection kind of a deal.
And what year was that?
2011.
Wow. So you've been there that long.
Excuse me.
So I'm sorry. It's working out then.
Yeah.
You should have two blonde.
It's not a bad place to be.
Sitting right next to you, out of frame.
No. I have my issues with university management. I will say that. But in terms of the living here, these guys have it made.
Really?
Oh God!
Oh, it's a wealthy country.
Do you know that the sovereign wealth fund, which is the retirement fund, is in the trillions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're one of the Norway, Denmark. A lot of these places are remarkable.
Remarkable. Okay, I mean the medicine alone. Everybody Bernie especially gets a very bad rap for saying socialist. But the whole concept of the social democracy, I mean, whether you believe in it politically or not, it works.
Yeah. So my old girlfriend's from Sweden. And when somebody in Sweden got married, all of the nobles from all the adjacent countries came, and the Norway king and queen had the fanciest outfits on. And then she told me how rich the country was. I was impressed.
That's but they weren't always that way.
Is it oil or is it natural resources or
North Sea?
It's all natural resources, isn't it?
North Sea oil.
I mean, the second largest export is fisheries, salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
salmon. Yeah.
No, but it's just they have a really good work, life balance. It's something I'm having. It's taken me 10 years to almost kind of adopt it. For instance, everything shuts down. Everything ends at 3:30.
Wow.
Well, why 3:30? Because that's when you go pick up the kids. Once you go pick up the kids from school, that's it.
Makes sense.
Phones off, computer off.
Makes sense.
So they really, really, really value the family time and all that kind of stuff. So,
what is the mean life expectancy in Norway, Colin?
You're asking me. I always memorize the international life expectancy numbers. That's one of my great hobbies.
I thought you knew that off the top of your head.
No, I just remember that the life expectancy in the U.S. has actually gone down in the last 2
A little
years.
bit.
But still.
White male 75, female 79.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. It's a little higher.
But I think it's quite a bit higher in a lot of the
Japan's high, Norway's high, Sweden's high.
Yeah, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Japan. Yep. Right up there. Belgium, I think, is pretty high up there.
Mr. Curda, before we get finished here in 7 minutes, what do you do for fun?
For fun,
you play guitar a little bit.
I play bass, yeah.
Oh no, but I saw you on stage playing a guitar on YouTube.
Oh,
playing solo.
You did?
Yeah, I saw an F chord. I saw an A chord. It was like a bluesy song.
I love this expression. I didn't really expect you to find this on YouTube, he says.
No, I know. To tell you the truth, I know there's something. I know there's something out there. It was a.
You're playing acoustic guitar. You're on stage by yourself, and it's a bluesy.
You know, I did a single. I did it when I was young. I used to do a single when I was in LA. I did a single, and
where did you record that at?
It went over. No, I never did.
Where'd you record that? Which studio?
No. I did a single, meaning a solo act.
Oh, got it.
Have
you seen the
like a troubadour thing?
The Netflix documentary on Sound City?
Which one was that?
The big studio in LA that had the analog board in it that Dave Grohl ended up buying.
No.
That did all the hits. Oh, it's fantastic.
Is it? I'll bet.
Fantastic.
I'll bet. I always liked the one about the Wall of Sound and the Be My Baby session.
That one I haven't seen.
159 takes.
Wow.
Something like that. Oh, there it is, Chris. Oh God.
There it is.
Yeah, I wonder what that was.
Where were you?
Like curtain, I don't know. It looks like, oh my God.
Mr. TD, can you? There you go.
Oh yeah.
That's a C. It looks like.
What do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me.
You can see I was under pressure.
Why?
I don't know, because I hadn't done that in years.
And you're using an SM58, and you got dark hair. Sounds great.
The beard wasn't entirely. That's in Norway.
Oh, it's in Norway. Okay. Looks like you got a capo there on the top too. What's that? Is that not a capo? What's that? Is that a tuner?
No, it is. There's a capo and a tuner. It's not my guitar.
I say capo.
Capo to the capo?
See.
Yeah, okay, that's enough, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what that was.
What do you do for fun? That was the question. You didn't answer.
What do I do for fun?
Yeah.
Well, I play in 3 bands. I play in a big band, which is very challenging because my reading is not that good. I play in a Dixieland band, which is tons of fun.
Oh wow!
And I play in a rock and roll band that's kind of a. We do a lot of traveling Wilburys
right.
stuff.
Let's see. So guitar has EAD, GBC. What does the bass have? What strings are on the bass?
EADG.
Oh, okay. I never played a bass.
The bottom 4.
Bottom 4.
Bottom 4. Yeah.
Never played a bass. Maybe I need to buy one of those.
Yeah. Why not?
Other than that, do you like hiking? Do you like foosball? Do you like drinking?
Well, I don't know if you guys know. I in the recent past, I've been very heavy, and I never was, but I did. I kind of blew it out in the Philippines, and I that's another much longer conversation. But so I used to do a lot of hiking. I used to do a lot of cross country skiing. I used to do all this kind of stuff when I was younger, and I would like to get back into it. I am slimming. I've lost 30 kilos.
Nice.
So
60,
far in the last
60 pounds.
yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
So I'm on the way back to where I need to be, but I haven't been doing much physical, activity. I'm just starting now. So in terms of hiking it's Norway's got all these fantastic scenic places to go and hike, and I just haven't. But maybe I will soon.
Colin's on the hookers and blow diet. How to lose 50 pounds and all your money in 3 months.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out for me. I got a dog instead, and as he gains 2 pounds every week, I lose 1. It's not a bad deal, all in all.
Well, no, I was on that diet too, but I think I had to leave it behind like about 76
in LA. Yeah, that's when Coke was good for you.
Well,
I got one last question. It's 12:59. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be retired.
Nice. That's my answer.
Answer. I want it so bad. I want it so bad, John. I want it now. I want it today.
To which I say retirement is a state of mind. As long as you're doing something you enjoy,
got to have an income.
Retired. Well, yes, but doing something you enjoy.
Well, I do that too.
Well, there you go. So you're
always going to do that. I mean, the myth about
you could also do
retirement
something.
Is that you sit around and don't do anything. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
How can any of us
get sick of it, and you're gonna get sick of it in a matter of weeks anyway. So you're better off finding something you enjoy and just doing that.
So your sound chain that you're using today, Mr. Curda, is what?
Is the venerable Neumann KM140.
Wow.
Cardioid from above. Not OH approved, but it's kind of OH approved, I guess.
Sounds fantastic.
Through an Apogee Duet.
Yep.
Into the computer.
That's a good interface. You're the only one of the few that can make it sound good. Everybody has problems with those duets.
Really?
Bill has one. What's his name from New York had one. They always having problems with the duet.
Really?
Yeah. Yours sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Curda.
Hey, thank you guys. This has been really fun.
We could speak for another 3 hours. You got an amazing background. I'm so honored to have you on the show, and we're going to wrap things up now. And we will hope to see you soon in after hours or on office hours. And love you, brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you,
Mr. Fenwick.
Will John Preto ever escape from his white hole? Will Colin Hill ever monetize his breathless pulsoscape? The answers to these and even more of the universe's greatest secrets next time on NerdWorld.